So here are some examples. I like this idea for like a young child with the blocks example. So if you can shift the goal in your head of what you're trying to focus on while you're still using the same activities that were scheduled for the hard skill. So the Lego or the block example is this. In kindergarten or preschool even, we're focusing on colors and shapes, right? Those are the technical or the hard skills, the academic information, colors and shapes and letters and numbers and counting and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you almost always see blocks in these young classrooms. All right, so we're focusing on colors and shapes, and maybe the activity is you sort by color, you sort by shape, you build something. But if I shift my thinking to these guys know their colors and shapes already. I mean, that doesn't need to be a target. So while everybody else is still trying to get colors and shapes, maybe these guys, my focus is on initiation, because that's a soft skill that I need to teach. All right? So maybe instead of they're just sorting them out by color or shape, maybe what happens with all those blocks is now I have them. Or maybe now we set them up in peer groups and a peer has them. And they know the color and they know the shape, or maybe they don't yet, but my focus is really on the soft skill of initiation. Now the activity becomes they have to initiate or ask for the next piece that they need. So let's say you have the little map or the little picture of what they're supposed to match, this little tower, build it like mine, right? And matching too is a skill. And so now, but they don't have all the blocks readily accessible to them, they have to ask, can I have the blue triangle? And you give them the blue triangle. So we're still doing the same activities, we still have the same supplies in our classroom, but my focus on what I'm targeting has shifted from the colors and the shapes to the initiation. So I set it up slightly differently for that. Another example, just teaching some of your classroom curriculum, the lesson plans that you have, rather than it being a lecture listen, or rather than it being a worksheet or a read and fill out this paper based on what you read, maybe we provide that information and do our classroom activities more role-playing opportunities versus worksheet opportunities. Video modeling has been found to be so powerful for our children with autism spectrum disorder as an effective strategy. Scripting, comic strips, I'm going to show you some examples of these as we go on through our lessons today. Plays, learning about history by acting it out and having a play. Learning about, how the solar system works by assigning different members of the class to be the different planets and have them move around the room, right? So again, it's teaching through multiple modalities and giving them opportunities to learn working together and interacting socially as they're learning the same content information of all those different planets, etc. Another suggestion, facilitate group problem solving in the classroom rather than direct instruction, so kind of like the team-based learning or the project-based learning strategies. Give them a problem and let them work it out and come up with ways to solve that problem themselves rather than always telling them. I have kind of a philosophy with my own child. If there's a way that she can do it for herself, then I want to facilitate for her to do it for herself. That's going to teach more independence. So if there's a way for those students to kind of come up with the same conclusions themselves, if you provide the materials, rather than direct instruction, this, then that's another way of instilling some soft skill opportunity. Creating ways for students to evaluate and keep data on their own performance helps you out because you have less data to collect, right? But it also teaches them the soft skill of self-monitoring. And we'll talk more about that in the 6th lesson on self-management as well. And the last suggestion for teaching soft skills through your current curriculum is setting up real-world interactive context to practice hard skills. So let's say we're on a unit for money or we're on a unit in science for liquids and solids, and our focus is we can use making lemonade with the solid, you mix with the liquid and it dissolves, and I don't know what all, because I'm not a science teacher, but or money, we're talking about making change and thinking about so lots of different measurements and math and science, all kinds of skills go in together that we want to teach, but maybe we teach it through a real world situation like a lemonade stand. And you probably can't read this little cartoon, but I think it's really cute. Here's a little guy, he's at the lemonade stand and he says, "Hey mister, can I help?" And the guy that walks up interrupts him and says, "Really, I'm just looking." That is not at all the kind of response that little kid was expecting, right? We just set up a real world context for them to kind of have to adapt and adjust and reread that person's emotions. And so the kid just quiet. And in the next screen, this gentleman says, "Damn it though, you and your salesman, just back off a little." So clearly something else was going on in that gentleman's mind or that day that really was not at all prompted by this little guy. But you can set up some surprise, I guess I would say, interactions and times for those children to really have to really pull out of their toolbox, or an opportunity to learn from on how to interact with customers. Right? While the focus for your curricula might have been counting money and counting change, but you're using the same activity with a focus in mind of that soft skill of being able to interact with others in unexpected circumstances.